Okay, here's a fun thing that you can download and print up and build in an afternoon. It's a relatively quick build. It's kind of an old design. It's from 10 years ago, but I've unearthed it recently and I've been making some videos. They've been doing drawings and other silly things. It takes a single AAA battery and you get your own BuzzBot. Let me show you how I put this together. Do a quick build. Let's get started. Okay, so here is the 3D printed BuzzBot body. This is an old design. It's from maybe 10 years ago, but I had to make a couple of updates. I had to change the width of the battery terminals and the size for the motor. So that all these parts that you can buy right off Amazon today should fit in here. These are 10mm wide battery terminals, and they should fit in well. And the motors that I just bought off Amazon are 6mm wide, seems like most of them are, and that fits snugly in the front there. Let's get started by inserting the battery terminals. I like to put the negative end with the spring down at the bottom here on the opposite side from where the motor goes. It's going to be hard for me to push that in, so use a pair of pliers to shove this guy down in there. So that should fit snug and shouldn't flop around in there. That way when you insert the battery, it'll fit snug. Now we got to get a wire from here to there, and so one wire is too long and easily gets to that terminal. The other wire has to make this journey all the way down to the other terminal, and so unfortunately I'm gonna have to use a piece of wire to make that long distance connection, and that means it adds another solder operation. So I think this is kind of a poor design by my current standards, but whatever. What jackass made this thing? Good God. So we're going to have to solder this on there. And you want to be careful because getting this metal hot, of course, with the 3D printed plastic is always a little on the dicey side, but we'll do as quick a solder as we can. Thankfully, these ones I bought have these really long tabs, so I could solder all the way up here at the top. And then we're going to run the wire down this little channel here. And we need to start actually with this because once we've soldered, it might be kind of a pain to thread this solid core wire. So let's just feed that through. And then maybe come up with a bend that seems like the right length to do the job we need to do. Ta-da! You see, I even had a little channel in there. It's not a bad design, right? Wire kind of can tuck in there. Gets us closer to the plastic though. So I'll get as close as I can. That's probably too close. All right, let me bust out the soldering iron. Okay, soldering iron's all heated up. I got my flux applied. Let's, boy, it sure is hard to do on camera, huh? Came out all right. Way too hot though. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's a solid connection. It's up higher than I would like, but c'est la vie. And I didn't melt the thing too badly. So now I've installed the motor into the front of the BuzzBot here, and I've cut the wires a little shorter and stripped them again. And now I'm going to try to connect this ground wire with this stupidly short little leg here and see what we get. Clink. Sometimes you don't know until you do that. Yeah, that looks joined to me. It's a little sloppy. I don't love that I pinched the wire, but whatever. And now to do the positive leg on the motor to the battery terminal here, I'm going to put a little bit of my flux to get that going. I'm just going to solder it further up because it's going to be easier. And I don't know if you can tell, but on the back one, I just ended up folding the tab over anyway, so I'm just going to fold this tab over. There we go. See, much faster, much better. Further up the tab, a little easier to heat it. All right, everything's all soldered, and maybe a little pre-flight check here. Drop the battery in. That's really satisfying to see the motor going. Awesome. Everything seems good. All right, I'm just going to drop a little bead of hot glue here behind the motor. Maybe like this. And like that. And a little dot just to keep the wires from bumbling around. This thing does vibrate constantly and everything has a chance to get loose, so a little dot of glue judiciously applied seems like a good insurance policy. For propulsion, BuzzBot uses this, well, you need something to make contact with the ground, right? As you can see by itself, it's not going to do a whole lot. At least not anything very interesting. So what you want is a stiff piece of wire. I use music wire like this solid music wire. And I use a hot glue gun to create a sort of little foot there, but feel free to experiment. The wire block foot that's part of this BuzzBot kit. So we've got two parts really, right? You have the body. It takes a AAA battery and a pager motor, and you have to solder it together. Then you got this wire block foot, and it takes an M3 bolt and nut. And you just secure the wire into the foot like that. And then the foot gets attached to the body with another M3 bolt. They've got trap nuts in them, so actually maybe I want to do this the other way around. There we go. Now I can take this nut and put that in there. And then when I tighten this up, I don't need a tool because the trap, there we go. The trap will hold that nut in place for me. Let me tighten this down really well. There we go. That foot's not going anywhere. And I got a nice little wire leg that is connected solidly to the body and will translate the vibration to the table cleanly. Let me quickly put the other 3 feet on here. Cool. Okay, now it's all assembled. You can see it stands on its wire legs. It should have a little bit of propensity for activity. Look at that, see? It's got energy right in its butt. So we're going to take this battery, drop it in here, and then see what we got. Not bad. Come here. It'll be better once we attach one of the weights to the shaft. The BuzzBot kit also comes with a third part, not only the body and these wire block feet, but also this little paddle weight that you can attach to the pager motor to exaggerate its action. So, and again, I've used a little bit of hot glue to kind of make sure that that's on there and not going to move around because it's gonna take a beating. And so you get a slightly lower frequency, right? Which is nice, especially when you want it to be able to drive around. Yep, and you can change the kind of activity of the robot by bending its legs in different directions. That one will back up now. Let's see. Maybe I use this back leg to make sure it always makes left turns. Or that it always goes... What's that going to do? That's a good randomizer. Kind of turns. Anyway, you get the idea. You can kind of stylize it. You can certainly adjust the behavior just by bending the legs and then start experimenting with different kinds of materials. It looks like I've actually got 2 different wires on here, like a really bendy one and a not so bendy one. It still operates okay. So there you have your own little BuzzBot all printed up and constructed. I encourage you to try different kinds of materials with the legs or different assemblies and configurations to get it to do different kinds of behavior. I'll put the links in the description so that you can download these parts and print them up. Hopefully you enjoyed all that. Please mash those buttons. Leave me any comments, especially about your own builds if you end up making one, and I'll see you next time.